Hi everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge and welcome to my February TBR / announcement video for FaRoFeb 2022. If you don't know, FaRoFeb means Fantasy Romance February. Fantasy Romance February was started by Harriet Moore last year, and it involves a collaboration between influencers and fantasy romance authors. Okay, so I'll have a link to the website down below. The entire month of February, there will be authors doing takeovers of the FaRoFeb Instagram. There will be author interviews. There's going to be a readathon. There's going to be so many fun events that are happening. Some other booktubers that will be involved is Becca from Becca and Her Books, Jess from Peace Love Books, as well as a couple of others. So I'm so excited. I will have the pleasure of hosting a reading sprint as well as doing an interview with Grace Draven, who is an author that I haven't read a lot of yet, but I'm very interested in her fantasy worlds, and she's someone I want to read more of. There aren't going to be any of her books on my February TBR because I'm planning to read them before then, because my interview with her is going to be on the 4th. I again will have a link down below to the announcements and the full calendar so you can know, because there is something happening every single day. There's going to be giveaways, there's going to be sales going on, there will be free books and links to deals that are happening for books, and it's going to be amazing. So yeah, we will definitely get to what my TBR is for that when we get to it. So I'm going to start with my TBR for everything else I'm doing for February, and then we'll get to what my TBR is specifically for the FaRoFeb readathon, which is going to be the second week in February. So let's go ahead and dive in, okay? So the first book, which this will actually be the third time that I'm reading this book, so I may actually kind of be skimming for this one, but I have my Rake Appreciation Society read. This is a historical book club, romance book club that I do with my very best friend on YouTube, Crystal, and we're going to be reading Annie's Song for February. This was one of my favorite books I read in 2021, and it's one that I want Crystal to read so badly. I want all of you guys to read as well, because there are some fabulous conversations to have. Here's the step back of Annie and Alex. This book does start with a tragedy, though. It starts with a rape of Annie, who is a 20-year-old deaf young woman who her whole town and family believe that she is of limited mental capacity, and she gets raped in the prologue of this book. It is not in detail, it is not in a gratuitous fashion, but we know that it happens because that is the jumping off point for this book. Because then we have Alex Montgomery, who is horrified to find out that his brother raped this vulnerable young woman, and he kicks his brother out of the family, banishes him, disowns him, and says, like, that's the last nice thing I'm going to do for you, and if someone comes to me trying to find you, I will help them, so get out of here. He then goes to Annie's family and offers to marry her and take care of his coming niece or nephew. So it's a heavy plot, but this book, to me, was so inspirational and beautiful, and I just want us to talk about it in book club. So we're going to do it. We're going to read Annie's Song if you want to with us. And that live show will be on Crystal's channel on February 10th, which is going to be the second Thursday this month, at 7 p.m. Central. So make sure you check that out. Then we have some arcs and new releases that I will be getting to. This category is always the hardest for me because there's always a book that I forgot, and there's always an arc that will come up that I didn't know about, but we'll go with these ones for now. So I just received an arc for Soft Like Thunder by J. Wolfe. This is her new spin-off series from the Savage Crew trilogy, which I really loved. And this one is going to be like the college years. So Soft Like Thunder is book 1 in, the Savage U, so like Savage University. And I believe this one is about Helen, who is the best friend of some characters from the first series. So I'll be honest, I don't completely remember Helen, but I remember that at the end of that book, I was very excited for this series. So J. Wolfe was kind enough to send me an arc of this book, so I'm very excited to read it. Then How to Be a Wallflower by Eloise James. This book isn't coming out until March, but Eloise James actually reached out to me on Instagram and asked if I would like a physical ARC of this book. So I'm expecting it in the mail any day, and I'm not going to be able to wait till March to read it, okay? I'm going to read it. It will be one of the first, like, ever physical ARCs from, like, a traditionally published author I've ever gotten, because I've definitely been blessed enough to have indie authors send them to me, but this is, like, Eloise James is one of my top authors of all time, and I'm so excited to read this book. So anyway, this is supposed to be literally a woman who's not a wallflower, who's trying to learn to be one, apparently. That's all I know. That's all I need to know. I've read every single one of her books, and I can't wait to read this. Then we have House of Sky and Breath, Crescent City book number 2, which is supposed to be coming out mid-February. It says the 16th. I will, literally be, like, taking time off to get that read because I cannot wait to read it. Then, and this is one that I did not know there was another book coming out in the series until I looked up the first book to tell someone about it because I forgot the name of the author, so I was looking it up. And I discovered that they have a 4th book coming out at the end of January, so I'm going to read it in February, and that is The Fae Warrior's Princess by Jamie Schlosser. This is a series of, like, fated mate Fae warriors who are all cursed, and they must find their fated mate or they'll be cursed forever. And the first book in the series is called From Dawn Till Dusk, and it is a like prequel to why all of them are cursed. And I fucking love these books. I read it a while back and I have loved them all. And we will get around to it, but I'm actually going to do that book for my readathon TBR, I think. So very interested in getting to read another one of these because I did not know there was going to be another one. But yeah, they're all Fae princes and they're all magical and wonderful, and I can't wait. I'm very interested though because this one says the Fae Warrior's Princess, so I wonder if it's the princess this time who's cursed. I don't know. I have no idea. I haven't tried to know because I didn't even know this existed, so I'll read it when it comes out. Okay, then I have some viewer recommendations and physical TBR. So since it is Fantasy Romance February, I went through my viewer recommendations this time with a purpose. I was looking for fantasy romance books. So I didn't do my random number generator this time. I went in looking for kind of like fantasy or like magical books to choose. And so I did do that. I picked 5 books that said, based on what you guys put into my rec form, you said that they were fantasy or romance, or, you know, maybe some of them are along the paranormal lines, but we'll see. So I'm going to list those off for you now. We have Guild by, I actually have this one. I have Guild by Raven Kennedy. This was actually at my Barnes & Noble and I bought a copy because I know people want me to read this series. So this one is, I think it's a King Midas retelling. Yeah. The myth of King Midas reimagined shows the dark side of greed through the eyes of the woman he touched with gold. So very excited to read that one. Then there is Savage Lands by Stacey Marie Brown. This is also one that the hardcover was at Barnes & Noble, so I grabbed it. Even though the newest book in the series, I've been seeing some people have some split opinions, but I believe this one has like some kind of game in it. So this one says, almost 20 years after the barrier between Earth and the other world fell in the Fae Wars, Budapest is balancing on a precipice. A battle for dominance is brewing among the elite Fae and the privileged humans in Eastern Europe. The prejudices between the sides is bubbling with hate and violence. And it says, like, there's the games. If the games don't take her out first, a fight to the death where only one survives. So that's kind of cool. I do know that this one, that there's probably not, like, there's not any steam in this one, but it builds. And this isn't too long of a book that's okay with me. Like, I've heard this series is really good. And I know this one has audiobook too. That's part of the thing too, is I did pick some with audio. Like, I think there's audiobooks for these as well. So I'm excited about that. I picked Soul Eater by Lilly, Maine. I know this one is MM and that there is magic. That's literally all I know. Lore and Lust by Carla Nicole. Same thing. I believe this is a friends to lovers gay romance. I know my friend Tori has read it. Enough said. Then I have one that it was put in my recommendation form, as well as Tiffany from Tiffany Roberts recommended it to me when she was on my channel. And that is Land of the Beautiful Dead by R. Lee Smith. And I've heard that this is kind of like a horror fantasy romance. And I think it's a vampire lord and a person. That's what I've heard. Either way, I'm going to try this because I was very intrigued by Tiffany Roberts' explanation, and also a couple of you viewers, because obviously one of you put it in my rec form, so I'm very interested. Okay, so those are the viewer recommendations that I picked. So then I have some historical romances that are from my library, like my personal library, that are either on my authors that I want to read this year, or they're ones where I've been wanting to try them. So they're all ones that I already own physical books for, and most of them have audiobooks because that's the best way to get through my historicals. There is one, which I'll share first, that the first 2 books in this series had audiobooks. And then the third one, they never made an audiobook for. But I really want to read this one because it's about the character that I want the most. So I'm going to try to get through it. So that's going to be England's Perfect Hero by Susan Enoch. I read the first 2 books, London's Perfect Scoundrel and The Rake. I read those in, what month is it? In January. And I very much enjoyed them. So this one is about Lucinda and I believe he is a scarred hero. And I love this back. Yeah, it's Lucinda and Robert. And Robert is someone that I saw in a previous book who is a little bit broken by war. So I'm very intrigued to read this one. Look, even like he's in the mirror. It's great. So I'm enjoying Susan Enoch so far. So far she's not a new like favorite author, but I'm pretty intrigued. So I'm going to keep going. Then there is The Scoundrel in Her Bed by Lorraine Heath. I'm continuing with the A Sin for All Seasons series. I'm waiting for this one to come into my Libby. A lot of these books I actually have on my Libby, like waiting to get them. But this one is, yeah, this is book 3. And so all of the main characters in these, they are bastards. They're from this one family where they were all like dropped off by their families, who they were bastard children basically. So we have Finn True Love and Lady Lavinia Kent, and I'm very intrigued in this one because in book 2 Lavinia Kent actually left her fiance at the altar, and that was the hero in the last book because there was someone she was in love with, and that is Finn. But like Finn doesn't know what her name was, I believe. Or maybe he did. I'm not sure. But either way, like she knew that she couldn't marry the man she was engaged to because she was always still in love with Finn. But they can't be together because she's an earl's daughter. And so in the last book, there was some like their families had, well, at least his family had like kind of figured out who this woman was. So I'm very intrigued to continue. I love Lorraine Heath, so I can't wait for that. Then I'm going to read Slightly Married by Mary Balogh. This is one I'm waiting for Libby to come in, and I will be starting the Bedouin series as soon as it drops in. This was also a viewer recommendations. You've been recommending this. I enjoy Mary Balogh quite a bit, and both Crystal and Tiffany have, or Tiffany, I don't know if started. Crystal and Jessen have loved this series, so I gotta get in on the action. So I'm gonna get in on the action with this one. So this one is about Aiden Bedouin, who has a reputation for cool arrogance, and he's come to Ringwood Manor, and having promised to comfort and protect a man's sister, Aiden never expected to find a headstrong, fiercely independent woman who wants no part of his protection, nor did he expect the feelings this beguiling creature would ignite in his guarded heart. And then when a relative threatens to turn Eve out on her of her home, Aiden's gallantry makes her an offer he can't refuse. Marry him, if only to save her home. Okay, so marriage of convenience. I'm here for it. Mary Balogh, I'm here for it. I've also, like, I just love her. Okay, The Lady Gets Lucky by Joanna Shoup. I know, it's time. so many of my friends, this was one of their favorite historicals in 2021. I waited on this because I've been burned by Shoop before, as I know some of y'all have, but I've been promised that this one doesn't do the things I don't like. Okay, I've been promised that. And I've read some of hers I haven't disliked, but I've just been burned more than I've been right. You know what I mean? But I'm going to give this one a go. And this one is about Alice Lusk. And she's tired of being overlooked by every bachelor, and something has to change. So Kit Ward plans, they have bedroom instruction that grows passionate, and Alice is a much better pupil than Kit had ever anticipated. And when the society gentlemen start to take notice, Kit has to try to win Alice in other ways. But is he too late to win her heart? Survey says he's not, but I'm excited. So time to go. And if for one thing, I will support Joanna Shoop still putting out covers like this when a lot of other people are caving to the new things. Then I have The Duke Who Didn't by Courtney Milan. I've been wanting to read this one since it came out. I was kind of waiting and hoping for there to be another book in the series to come out, but it looks like it kind of hasn't, but I don't care. I just love the couple on this cover is so so beautiful. And I've loved Courtney Milan, the other books I've read by her. So I believe this one is a friends to lovers, and like he wants to woo her, but she's trying to help him find a wife, and he keeps describing what he wants in a wife, and it's actually like who she is, and she's just not getting it. But I'm ready. I'm ready to read this one. I can't wait. And then the last one that I want to get to is I have started collecting these books by Grace Callaway, because I have heard that she writes some spicy historicals. Like there's this Facebook group I'm in, which is called like Upturned Petticoats or something, and it only has book recommendations that are like 3 chili peppers or higher. They have a very scientific reasoning for how we do that. And Grace Callaway shows up quite a bit. So I'm going to start the Mayhem in Mayfair series with Her Husband's Harlot, because hello mama, hello. I actually have the next 2 books in this series all ready. So what this one says is, after a disastrous wedding night, the proper lady Helena Hartford fears for the fate of her new marriage. Disguised as a doxy, she tracks her husband down at a bawdy house to reason with him, and instead discovers the thrill of forbidden passion. An innocent ruse turns into a risky deception, and how far will this once wallflower go to win her husband's love? So I'm guessing that he goes to see a whore and it ends up being her. And then she has to show him that it's her. So interesting premise. We'll see how this goes. Okay, so as promised now, real quick, we will skip to my TBR for the FaRoFeb readathon, which, like I said, is going to be the second week in February. It will go from February 7th to the 13th. It was decided by Harriet to make the readathon just 1 week long instead of all 4 this time. But like I said, I'm going to try to read some fantasy throughout the whole month. We'll see how it goes. But these are the 4 books that I want to read specifically for the bingo board I created. So I did a flat lay for this, and you could do a create your own bingo board, which I'm a big fan of. And so I think I have it worked out that these 4 books will hit all of them. So the book that I want to read specifically for, like, it's been on my TBR a long time, and I've actually started this book, but then I got like stalled out, and that is A Strange Hymn by Laura Thalassa. This is the 2nd book in the Bargainer series, and I just kind of got stalled out at the time. But I have the audiobook for this one, so I'm going to dive back in, and I'm going to do this one for like a book that's been on my TBR for a long time, and we'll do it. Then as I mentioned, I want to do the Faye Warrior's Princess by Jamie Schlosser, and this will be a portal fantasy. Sorry, this one's a portal fantasy because it does, like, the heroines are usually from like our world or something like that. It's an indie author. It'll be a new release because it's literally just coming out, so I'll read it for those. Then I want to read Sealed in Sin by Juliet Cross. Juliet is a friend of mine, a friend of the channel, and she is re-releasing her this series with Forged in Fire, Sealed in Sin, and it is a demon series. And so I will be rereading the first one in January, but then we'll be doing Sealed in Sin for February. And this one will hit the demons one. It will hit a FaRoFeb author because she is both of those. And then the last one I want to try to get to, I had someone kind enough give me all of the books in the Darkest London series. And I also own the audiobook for this one, so I want to try to get to it. And that is Firelight by Kristen Callahan. This one will work for Gaslamp or Steampunk. This will work for low fantasy as well. And yeah, this one's also one that's been on my TBR for a while. So I'm excited to dive into these ones. This is also historical setting and alternate history. There we go. And so those 4 books should hit all of the prompts that I put onto my bingo board. So as I said, I will have all the links and info about FaRoFeb down below if you're interested in participating. It's going to be a real fun time. So thank you so much for watching. I know this is a little bit early. I always make my TBRs kind of early because I like to plan things. And especially having my new planner, it makes me really excited to like sit down and do that. So thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Bye.